President Donald Trump is now the titular head of the Republican Party. The American people have spoken with a resounding desire to see a Republican Party that actually opposes and defeats the Democrat Socialist Party in real and meaningful ways. President Trump does that. So, as the old GOP leadership has lost the trust and support of we the people, those pro-Democrat Republicans are moving with lightning speed to make sure Democrats have as much power as possible to withstand the deserved voter-imposed reckoning I believe is coming. Who are these rhinos? Well, these pro-Democrat Republicans, these moderate squishes, you know their names. Guys like Mitch McConnell, John Cornyn, Mitt Romney, Liz Cheney, Lawler, Kinzinger, and various sleeper agents in the Republican Party on the state level. And these so-called Republicans are working with Democrats to make sure the new Republican Party never wins another election. The only question is, will you sit by and let them do it? The long game of illegal immigration. That's my focus in today's preamble. Many of you might be asking what illegal immigration has to do with the vote and with the deceivers in the Republican Party or the leftists in the Democrat Party. Allow me to paint the fullest picture I know how. As Texas gets tough on illegal immigration, the states that actually deserve all the harm from this lawless, law-breaking campaign are finally being forced to deal with it. Through Operation Lone Star, America's de facto president, Texas Governor Greg Abbott, has installed wire fencing at the border, deployed floating barriers at the border, and called out the Texas National Guard to deter illegal immigration. As a result, Texas is pushing the hordes of illegal alien criminals to states that voted for all this lawlessness: New Mexico, Arizona, and California. Through the first 4 months of fiscal year 2024, October through January, the number of U.S. Border Patrol encounters of illegal aliens between ports of entry in Texas has fallen by 27%. 4 of the state's 5 Border Patrol sectors have recorded steep declines. El Paso, minus 50%, Big Bend down 70%, Laredo minus 40%. And after Texas took control of Shelby Park and Eagle Pass in early January, the number of illegal alien encounters plummeted 325% from the previous month and 41% from January of 2023. Meanwhile, Democrat states have seen as much as a 30% increase in illegal immigration and all the pain that comes with it. If you're a conservative in those states, you have my deep sympathies, but it's time for you to leave. In places like California, the Republican Party is a joke and has positioned itself to be a permanent minority, surrendering to the socialists. Speaking of socialists, in New York, across the country, they are the majority ruling class. One of those self-proclaimed socialists, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, was confronted by citizens that she is failing to represent. Here's how it all went.
Pushing, bro.
Yeah, bro. The hecklers were correct. All evidence shows that Democrats and the GOP who vote to fund their policies, all they care about are illegal aliens. But it goes far deeper than just putting foreign nationals ahead of the people you were elected to work for. Democrats have shown they don't care who gets hurt on their way to reaching their ultimate goal. Because the U.S. has abandoned operational control of our border. Last year, 112,000 Americans died from fentanyl overdoses. Public health experts say fentanyl, a synthetic opioid far more powerful than heroin, is responsible for the majority of drug deaths in our country. The Democrats and complicit Republicans make sure there's a plentiful supply of illegal drugs in this country. But it's not just the drugs. Americans are dying in all manner of ways because of the open border. Let's examine this deceptive headline from CNN. Quote, "Suspect in University of Georgia killing didn't know the victim and is not a student on the campus, police say," end quote. Was that the story? The relationship between the alleged killer and the innocent 22-year-old girl who was murdered? What CNN left out of their headline was the fact that the accused killer is in the U.S. illegally, allowed in because of Democrats' open borders. This is what Democrats who pretend to be journalists do. They hide information so our people don't know how truly awful and callous Democrats are. 22-year-old Laken Riley was murdered. The suspect is Jose Antonio Ibarra, an illegal alien from Venezuela who was released into the United States after entering illegally in Texas. Oh, but the blood on Democrats' hands is even more indicting. Reports show that Ibarra was arrested in criminal-friendly and socialist-dominated New York. He was released because that's what New York does with criminal illegal aliens. Who can forget 2 incidents of illegal aliens beating up cops in New York? These folks were let go too, so they could victimize other Americans. This Democrat policy led to Ibarra being let loose to go to Georgia and allegedly kill an innocent American. Democrats made that happen. It's filthy. It's disgusting. But it's only the tip of the iceberg. As we've told you, Democrats are working tirelessly to give illegal aliens the vote in the United States. Already, certain Democrat areas allow the votes of illegal aliens, foreign nationals, to cancel out the votes of American citizens. But give the Democrats credit. They've been working on something far more devious, far more sinister in their effort to seize control over the government and you.
It is by design. Biden is invading the country with people who he knows are going to vote disproportionately for Democrats. And this is an important point. Again, I didn't realize this until a few weeks ago. California has 5 more congressional representatives than it should. Do you know why? They count illegal aliens for purposes of assigning apportionment in Congress. So when these guys flood the country with millions of people who shouldn't be here, they destroy the voting power of citizens in our own republic. This is by design, and this is maybe the last very good chance we have to stop it in 2024.
That's right. As conservatives, Republicans, and independents get wise and flee these left-wing states, those states are backfilling with illegal aliens so they can still maintain their power and representation in Washington, D.C. So long as this dynamic exists, we can't rely on those being seated from sanctuary states to have Americans' best interests at heart. If we lived in a just country, the non-sanctuary states would refuse to seat representatives from blue states that allow illegal aliens to vote and allow them to be counted to falsely inflate their representation in government. California should only have 48 electoral votes in the Electoral College, and frankly, Texas should have 42. That is, if our census was conducted in a manner that was fair to American citizens. Trump tried to stop counting of illegal aliens in the census, but was stopped. Our Constitution states, quote, persons, not citizens, being subject to state laws and provisions. It's the same premise that the case Plyler versus Doe was decided on. According to that Supreme Court, the American taxpayer is charged with paying the freight for every bit of education of every child on planet Earth, provided they can get here. The Founding Fathers never conceived that our government would open our borders and turn on our people so completely. But the proof is in the pudding. As we have been forced to finance an invasion of our country, now Americans are waking up to that reality. So unless we amend the Constitution to say citizens and not persons, the only other solution is mass deportations of illegal aliens under the 100% factual premise illegal aliens don't have a right to be in the United States, and they don't. As I've mentioned throughout this preamble, there are venomous snakes who call themselves Republicans, who join their fellow Democrat reptiles in imposing this harm onto our people. And the U.S. is heading toward another potential government shutdown. Conservative Congressman Bob Good told us what principled Republicans should do.
If you have one house of the legislative branch, you ought to get half of what you want. But, Chris, it really comes down to one thing. It comes down to one thing. A willingness to negotiate, a willingness to fight, a willingness to use the leverage you have as the House majority, where we can pass anything we want with a 1-vote majority. We have a 2-vote majority, but we can pass anything we want, unlike the Senate that has to have 60 votes. But we've got to be willing to risk or endure or suffer a government shutdown. Because if the Senate knows we will not do that under any circumstances, we will continue to lose for the American people.
Yep. In other words, if the turncoats in the GOP Senate and in the GOP House want to side with the Democrats' agenda of a deadly, illegal, and destructive campaign of mass illegal immigration invasion, the House, allegedly under GOP control, should be willing to defund a government that has become destructive to our own people. The idea of defunding a lawless government seems to be gaining traction among conservatives.
Our cities are overrun. Our schools are overrun. Our shelters are overrun. And Joe Biden allows the disaster to continue. Kristen, let me add this wrinkle. There are young women who are sold into sex slavery by the drug cartels every single day.
Yeah.
Joe Biden allows it to occur. That is un-American. It is not humane. Our border must be secured, period.
So, Congressman, just yes or no, and of course the Biden administration is working on executive actions as we speak, but just yes or no, would you vote to shut down the government if you did not see a border security plan in the package? Just yes or no.
I will not be voting for any funding if the border is not secured.
Until the era of Obama, Americans were fine with bankrolling a government that protected us, a government that was fair, lawful, and applied that law equally. Because of leftist treachery, fully funded by certain elements of the Republican Party, we no longer have that. Reading the tea leaves, it appears the threat of defunding a government run by gutless and immoral people isn't something that American taxpayers are too broken up about, nor should they be. If any given Republican knows that Democrats seek to use an illegal alien invasion to make sure the GOP is destroyed and never wins another election, if any Republican doesn't move heaven and earth to stop the Democrats' destruction, including defunding the mechanism that the treachery is being implemented with, that Republican doesn't deserve your support or vote. And to all of you Democrats out there who still have a conscience, however many of you are left, though I can't make a blanket recommendation for the GOP, I do know your party has betrayed us all. I encourage you to find a better way this primary season.